We have finally come to a point where we thrive in online channels, whether as shoppers or sellers. This is no small part thanks to e-commerce platforms like Lazada, who have been hard at work in uplifting the digital economy in the Philippines and all over Southeast Asia. Through their efforts, Lazada empowered Filipino businesses to go online and provided Filipino consumers with a safe and secure online shopping experience. Lazada, now celebrating their 10th anniversary, changed the way online shopping works. In the past 2 years, they were one of the few who already had existing infrastructure and helped businesses beyond survival. So in this episode of Lazada Talks, we listen to experts who can help us understand how Lazada and other purveyors of the digital economy pulled this off. What has changed since then? How consumers and businesses are behaving in the online space, and what is the future of online selling? I'm Isa Liton. Please join me for Lazada Talks Episode 2, Emerging Opportunities for E-commerce. All right, let's start off our discussion today with Lazada's very own Chief Operating Officer and Deputy Chief Executive Officer, Carlos Barrera. Carlos hails from Madrid, Spain, and prior to Lazada, he was in the consulting industry for 5 years in Europe and South America, covering strategy, mergers, and acquisition projects. Carlos came on board Lazada in 2014, where he started in the Malaysia office before taking on his Chief Operating Officer role with Lazada Philippines. Hi, Carlos. Happy 10th anniversary to you. Happy 10 years.
Hi, thank you. Thank you for that. I'm very excited to chat with you today.
I'm very excited to chat as well. So, wow, 10 years. Time flies, don't you think? So, looking back then, how has the last 10 years of Lazada been for you personally? And let's look at your biggest wins and milestones so far for the Lazada Philippines group, especially.
Well, it's certainly been busy, but quite exciting. I feel that what's important to hear is to remember that Lazada was the pioneer. So we were always forced to innovate during the past decade, right? We try to always launch new features, and we are constantly adjusting and adopting up until today, where we're still releasing new features on a weekly basis, right? With the objective of always innovating and improving the e-commerce and the total retail industry, actually. So 10 years ago, most people felt that e-commerce wouldn't work in this region, or that e-commerce was something that will end up becoming a niche or like a very small industry. But we always believe in the vision, right? And we started by making some changes and adjusting the way e-commerce worked. For example, we were the first to launch a marketplace model where we just connected merchants and customers, right? We built our last mall, which is the largest virtual mall and actually the largest mall in the region that guarantees 100% authentic items directly from brands, right? We have more than 10,000 local and international brands. And then we've been focusing a lot on technology, so around artificial intelligence, things like image search, scanning with your phone, a lot of integrations around the search and personalization of the app. We want to make the experience unique, so no two people see the same thing, right? But we've also innovated a lot around social commerce. We've been working on our live streaming feature and getting all the social sellers to really be part of Lazada. And at the same time, we've been driving what we call shoppertainment, which is the set of tools and mechanics to make shopping fun. Gifts, we have live streaming, we have interactive games. So there have been a lot of improvements around the platform and consumer side, right? Obviously, being an e-commerce company in this region is not just about that platform side and supply and customers, but it also brings another set of businesses. I would say the most complex area is definitely logistics, right? So we had to build our logistics network from scratch, right? We had to establish sorting centers that automatically dispatch the items, hundreds of thousands of items every single day to any region in the Philippines. We launched our same-day delivery service, and we've been working a lot to make it easy for sellers to sell online and to deliver the items through us, right? I think lastly, something I also wanted to mention is that we were the first to innovate around payments, right? We started offering cash on delivery, which was very important to drive inclusion and to make sure that different types of people were able to access e-commerce, right? But we also enabled certain things like bills payment, digital donations, even our Lazada wallet, where people can easily transact online, right? So many different changes around different areas, but always with one core thing in mind, which is that sellers and brands are the single biggest priority, right? We've always worked with them, we've always listened to their feedback, and we want to give them access to the best resources out there, the best tools, modules, training, and all the visibility we can get for them so that they can grow their business online and they can have a seamless online experience, right?
Carlos, I was actually taking notes on what you were saying, and I'm trying to count down some of them, if not all of them. 10 years, and from being the pioneer, like from first marketplace model, last mall, all the way to innovation of payments. That's like 10 things that you really were the first to get done, right? So I was really like, wow, what a way to celebrate 10 years. And you're not stopping. That's just it. You're not stopping. But I want to get it back. Let's take it back from the beginning. You were right about your hesitation, or how the rest of the Philippines at the start were hesitating to get into this. And you said you knew your vision, that this is the future. A lot of people were still, nah, it's okay. I really want to shop. I want to be in the store. And yet look where we are now. Every single person, I think, shops in Lazada, right? But going back to where you were, initial challenges really, especially to shift that mindset that e-commerce is here to stay. It's not a niche. It is the future. Initial challenges that you can share with us.
Well, we've had all sorts of challenges, and I think we'll run into many more challenges in the future. But as I was mentioning, we just keep focused and we just constantly stay true to our vision, right? As you can imagine, in the beginning, people didn't really know what e-commerce was or how it worked, right? So there was a
Yes.
lack of trust, but even familiarity.
Because they'll be like, is that really my size? Are
Yeah.
you sure? And most important is, are you sure you know how people get my credit card details,
Mhm.
right? Will I really get that product? Where's it
Yeah.
coming from? So all these questions, I'm sure, to begin with, at the very beginning, people are like, how does it work? That was a very good point that you brought up. That's the first challenge, how to
So
convince people.
during our early days, people will even call us. They will order on our website and then call us to confirm, right? Or to ask, can I change this item? Did I order correctly? It wasn't really the smooth operation, very intuitive and simple that it is today, right? They were still not really sure if that thing was going to arrive or not, right? Um,
Uh-huh.
I would also say that as any business, trust was our main challenge. People didn't necessarily trust that they were going to get the items. So we had to work a lot on improving and developing a very good refund and returns policy so people felt protected shopping online, right?
That's one of the best ways to win trust. That yes, if you say this is not the item, maybe there was a mistake somewhere along the way, give it back. That's usually not practiced here in the Philippines, and it happened with you.
Well, you can imagine that it's fairly expensive, but that's one of the investments that we've prioritized, right? And we believe that if you're able to create a safe space, people will just constantly continue buying because they remove that fear element, right? So refund and returns is a critical aspect, and also our Lazada warranty, right? So money back, and we've also improved a lot from day one. We focused on making sure that if people had a bad experience, they were compensated through vouchers, deactivating some of the items, through hypercare, right? Always listening and dealing with them. So I feel like it's one of the most important investments, right?
What else were like other funny challenges? Any anecdotes that you found maybe a funny solution as well, an equally funny or super innovative solution to address a certain problem point?
Well, my favorite has always been around payments, right? People would literally call us asking if we had gotten the payment, right? And this was hilarious because they were so scared of online that when they actually paid and check out an item, they would call us asking, "Do you have my money? Are you gonna send me now?" They actually expected a person on the other side, like literally collecting the money, right?
But that's true. Again, see, I have to admit, I was one of those people. Like, more than 5, 7 years ago, you were really wondering, where is it going? How does this work? But now, especially with this generation, it's just, oh, it's an app. Just click, 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 done.
Yeah.
Right? So,
We had
wow.
to make a lot of changes around this. So, actually, what was very difficult for us to improve this is we had to change the way the app functioned and the way you were notified, right? So it was very important to have a very smooth flow of notifications. If you look at Lazada today, automatically the moment you click and then you purchase, you get a notification confirming your order, telling you explicitly when it's going to arrive. So we had to also make the app a lot more intuitive so people didn't feel that they had to interact with anyone because they could easily see these things, right? There's a track my order status where you can quickly see that your item will be delivered tomorrow, your item is near your area. So there are a lot of improvements around this so that people actually felt that they were part of the tracking of the parcel, right? And I like to take a long view, right? I feel like if you look at these situations, nothing is perfect, and by definition, nothing will ever be perfect. We're in 2022, and we're still evolving, and we're still tackling a lot of these challenges. We're launching same-day delivery. We're allowing new payment forms, and new forms of payment are actually growing very fast. So we just need to constantly adjust. And what seemed very disruptive and very innovative 10 years ago just doesn't carry today, right? So we have a growth mindset and we are constantly improving.
Wow. But good thing we brought up the app because you're right. Even the fact that from a website to the app to how the app works, there are so many innovative steps that made the shopping experience so much more easier and then seamless, relatively seamless. So wonderful that you brought that up as well. Now, besides the wins or the innovations, and the challenges, which we all thankfully you admitted to and shared with us, that the growing pains of keeping it going and again lasting 10 years, you also give back. And I think this is one of the wonderful ways that Lazada really has embraced the Filipino community. So how has Lazada utilized these capabilities to give back to Filipinos, especially in times of need? You put that in your payment options. Donations are part of it.
Well, so I think first and foremost, we see ourselves as a business that has a core vision of building businesses, right? So we are in a way nation building because we have hundreds of thousands of merchants working with us, and all of them have sizable teams. And we're only getting started, right? For example, where we enable mobile vaccination because we have the logistics capabilities, right? But there are many other things that we have in the pipeline, and we want to continue giving back to the community.
That just really makes my heart swell because again, it's not necessarily just businesses for for profit's sake and all that, but because you have it in place, why don't you do something good for the sake of others as well? And you just really nailed it right in the head when you said, it's not just with big partner organizations or like Red Cross, but even down to LGU level. So putting that in place, it really does help the Filipino community. Carlos, before I wrap up the segment with you, I wonder what is your favorite part? Be it your own contribution or a Lazada growth or a project even that you are personally proud of since joining Lazada Philippines.
Well, it's always hard to pin down one thing, right? Because I feel that by definition, our business evolves so much that you cannot even pinpoint what's the one thing that you've done because you're always evolving, right? We're always moving the goalpost. But if I had to choose one, I would definitely say it's been opening up the platform to micro sellers and entrepreneurs, right? So we made a
SMB.
decision.
Yeah.
Yeah, we made a big decision 4 or 5 years back, and we've partnered with DTI and with a lot of actual like business associations to enable micro entrepreneurs to join Lazada. And I think this was a game changer, and it started with a principle, which is what needs to happen for us to really expand the number of businesses and the number of people that we're touching, right? And it became very apparent that we were great at dealing with large brands. We were very good at sending items anywhere. But the one thing that we were still lacking was allowing any entrepreneur to sell, right? So we came up with a separate
Yeah.
process.
Any entrepreneur. I love that, Yan. Yeah.
Anyone, literally anyone, right? So we came up with a separate process where anybody can sign up. Very smooth onboarding, only one requirement: you upload your ID, you fill a couple of things, and you can easily join and start selling, right? So we got hundreds of thousands of MSMEs, and many of them are just individuals, right? That they're studying and they're making money on the side, or they're helping their family, or
Exactly.
like,
Or
it's
straight
just
just from their home. Exactly.
yeah,
I'm working from home. This is things I do and make personally in my home. I don't have a factory, right? So
yeah.
you're right. It's empowering.
There's a separate program for MSMEs where below a certain amount, you're able to run your business very easily, and the requirements are a bit less strict, right? So it makes a big difference because people feel very empowered and they can quickly make money on the side, right? This is definitely something I'm really proud of.
And also, it's one way you're teaching business. It's basically you're like a business crash course 101 for entrepreneurs. And it's not anymore theory. You just go ahead and do it. So
Yeah, that's
wow.
actually a very good point. Majority of them graduate, and we actually pay for their registration, their tax advisors, and everything for them to become a professional business, right? So we really pitch it as a trial. Just start selling, and then when you become a business, we'll pay to set up your business. But that's really part of the objective, right?
I can see why that's one of your favorites. You're like just beaming about talking about that. So, what a bright future, especially for the young ones, if they do start young. But you know what? Age is not a problem at all. What if I was already a 60, 70-year-old and my children are already grown and I just maybe I'm good at knitting, I'm good at cooking, or I'm good at something. Hey, I can still do a business. I can still have my own business no matter how old I am. So, wow, Carlos, you will stay on board because that's only the first part of our discussion today. So, speaking of seller features and even end-to-end ecosystems, everything Carlos actually discussed, our team actually had the pleasure of talking to one up-and-coming young entrepreneur who is actively selling on Lazada. And as Carlos said, at a very young age, even while she was studying, she was able to establish a successful jewelry business. In fact, I'm wearing one of her pieces right now. Sharing with us all the successes and lessons she's learned along the way, here's our conversation with Kyla Cuneta, owner of Tala by Kyla.
Hi, I'm Kyla Cuneta, the owner and founder of Tala by Kyla.
Gusto ko yung feeling ng customers ko like nagsishine sila with confidence whenever they wear my product. So yung mother ko, meron siyang sariling bags and accessories na business. Siya yung gumagawa ng mga items niya. Mga beaded jewelry yon. Na-amaze ako kasi medyo crafty kami dalawa ng mother ko. Nata-try on ko rin yung mga paninda niya kasi ako yung ginagawa niyang model before. Nag-start ako like maging into sock med talaga nung sumisikat yung Instagram. Diba yung like, puro post ka lang like ng photography, something mo, ganon. So medyo natutuwa ako doon kung paano i-grow yung account. And nakatulong yon sa pag-handle ko ng Tala by Kyla. Nagsa-start pa lang diba yung IG shops. Mano-mano diba like nag-message how to order, send ka order form, ganon-ganyan. So medyo mahirap siya talaga kasi kailangan kong sagutin lahat ng inquiries, tapos send ko yung mode of payment, tapos pag nag-pay sila, kailangan kong i-check sa Palawan Express or sa Bonal Hillier if like pumasok mo yung payment nila, tapos susulat ko rin isa-isa yung address nila, shipping details, tapos dadalhin sa courier, ganon. So medyo matrabaho and very time-consuming, especially for a student like me. Yung number one, I think yung pressed flowers. Yun din talaga yung like nag-pave ng way para sa growth ng Talabay Kyla. Tapos second, yung mga inspired collections namin. Kasi pinapakinggan ko talaga yung customers ko kung ano yung gusto nila. Kasi ang tagline namin is wear your story, di ba? So I think it's very important na pinapakinggan ko yung request nila kasi I think yun yung nakaka-resonate sila with. Market ko, Gen Z rin. So, like, I always ask myself, like, may impact ba sa'yo to? Kasi mga Gen Z, mabilis kami mag-adapt, mabilis kami mag-adjust sa mga bagay-bagay. So, ako, pag kami trend, parang, like, mabilis yung action ko sa kanya. Nag-start ako mag-sell sa Lazada noong 2019. Nung alam kong hindi ko nang kayang ituloy-tuloy pa yung process ng pag-take ko ng orders before, natanggal niya sa akin yung hirap ng pag-accept ng orders. Ngayon, kaya namin mag-ship out ng order within 1 to 2 days. Sa Lazada, yung nakuha ko ng first 100K ko na sales. So, super excited kami kasi nga dahil mabagal yung sa process ko before. Mahirap for me malaman if like na-reach ko yung first 100K ko, yung first 500, yung first 1M, ganon. Pero sa Lazada, dahil very accessible yung seller center, nakikita mo yung business insights. Kita mo yung sales mo, kita mo yung number of orders, kita mo ilan yung nag-visit ng page mo sa Lazada. So, big help yon kasi na-analyze mo, diba, ng mabilis. Alam ko sa sarili ko na never kaming like alis ng Lazada. Like, andyan na siya forever. Kahit pa maging global kami, or kahit pa magkaroon kami ng physical store, like, andyan lagi. May-maintain namin yung Lazada store namin. Kasi, malaki yung na-help nila. And, syempre, kung kunwari mag-expand kami, like, physical store and such, hindi naman kami, like, makakapaglagay sabay-sabay agad sa buong Pilipinas. So, malaking bagay pa din na andyan yung Lazada para ma-reach namin yung customers namin na sa Visayas, Mindanao. Kung online seller ka now at wala ka pa sa Lazada, go na! What are you waiting for? Basta willing ka rin naman to help, like, or to coordinate with Lazada, tutulungan ka din talaga nila. It's like a very good relationship, Lazada. Thank you for everything. I mean, for someone na ganun kabata before, like 19 years old, you helped me reach my dream in 2 to 3 years. Alam ko marami kayong natutulungan na ibang tao, but I just want to let you know na malaki rin talaga yung natulong niyo sa akin and sa family ko and sa mga employees namin. Without you guys, hindi kami makakatulong ng ibang tao ng ganito na scale at hindi kami makakapag-share ng advocacies namin sa ibang Tala Babes sa buong Pilipinas kung wala kayo. So, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Oh, wow! Carlos, where are you? Come back. Carlos, how do you feel after hearing that? That's why I had to ask you, what was your favorite part out of the 10 years? And you had to mention the micro, the MSMEs. And there you go. Tala by Kyla. I love how she's like, she personally said in Tagalog, I want to let you know, you helped me. Right?
Yeah.
At 19 years old, look, you should see your smile. And what an inspiring story.
But she's not micro at all. She's so big time now. You'll be surprised. Last campaign, I remember she was in the top 5. She was like up against the largest international brands in the world. And even on Twitter, social media, Instagram, she was trending topic. There were like thousands of people entering their page every minute. So she's just amazing, and it's really impressive to see what she's been able to do. And obviously, we're super proud of her, right?
Well, what an empowering and inspiring story. I love how she was saying, if you're a seller, pasok na kayo, you have to join Lazada, right? So, speaking of which, we're going to go on to another discussion. It's going to be a panel right now. But we've just heard from Lazada. We heard from one of their young entrepreneurs making waves in the, as Carlos said, she's not MSME anymore. MSME space. But now, let's bring in the rest of our panelists for our discussion. Today, we're also joined by two other industry leaders in the e-commerce space. We have Lester Cuneta, an e-commerce professional with 10 years of combined experience in tech, retail, and fast-moving consumer goods. He's also happens to be the Chief Process Officer of the Synagie Group and General Manager of Synagie Philippines. Hi, Lester.
Hello. It's great to join you guys today.
Cheers. Looking forward to chatting with you. And joining Lester and Carlos, we have Howard Pao, co-founder and assistant vice president for Digits Trading Inc. Digits Trading actually has been in the retail business for more than 20 years and bringing in tech and electronic brands into the country since way before the birth of the first smartphone. So that's how long they've been around. Digits Trading built physical and online stores Filipino techies have come to love, including, I'm sure you're familiar, with Digital Walker and Beyond the Box. I'm a personal shopper of those two. So hi, Howard.
Hi, nice to meet you all.
Cheers. Okay, gentlemen, let's get this part of the discussion going. I know I introduced you and what you do, but I think best to hear from you. Tell us about your brand, what you do, and your business strategy. So shall I begin first with Lester? Lester, tell us about Synagie, please.
Thank you. So, Synagie is an e-commerce enabler. We're the leading e-commerce enablement partner in Southeast Asia with presence in all six Southeast Asia markets and the Hong Kong region. Um, what we do is actually provide a 360-degree business management services to brands and MSMEs locally and regionally. So that ranges from commercial and brand management, store operations, warehousing and fulfillment, big data analytics, consumer engagement, and recently, of course, software as a service through our proprietary technology.
Wow. So you're like the one-stop shop that gets it going to be in an e-commerce platform.
Yes. So basically, we partner with platforms, especially with Lazada. Lazada is our biggest partner in bringing the brand's business forward in the digital space.
Nice. How about you, Howard? Of course, like I said, I'm a big fan of Digital Walker and Beyond the Box. But for those who don't know, what would you like to tell them about your business, your brand, and what is it you do?
Well, we're basically your geeky early adopters, and I remember around 20 plus years ago, we would often go abroad to look for latest gadgets, and we would sometimes order online. Shipping very expensive back then, 20 plus years ago. So basically, that's what's the company's about. So we like to look for the latest and the most functional gadgets abroad and make it available in the Philippine market.
Mm-hmm. And how long have you both been partners with Lazada, Howard? Because you'd had
Ah,
physical stores. Yeah.
we've been in the retail business for the longest time, right? Around 20 years, right? And we've been online only recently, I think, around 2017. Yeah, so
Oh, very recent.
we're fairly young in the online space,
Oh,
but
nice.
Lazada
And
really
how
helped us out to make a big impact.
nice. Any thoughts on how it's pretty early? So that's really
Yeah.
well within Carlos is already, Carlos, how did you feel when
Yeah,
Digits
absolutely.
Trading came in?
Yeah, it's been great to be honest. A lot of the big offline brands like them only made the leap over, I would say, the last 4 or 5 years, right? So we're very proud of having them. And what's interesting is that because they're so used to buying and selling and investing, they really pick it up very fast, right? So you see how some of these companies are huge today, and they have very, very good online stores because they can leverage their own team, right? So it's very easy to just open a channel for them and then quickly learn the ropes and adjust, right?
Okay. And speaking of quickly linking everything or adjusting, let's go now to Lester. So how long have you been partners with Lazada? And then Les, I want to connect you to how you answer this with bringing in someone like Digits Trading. Because it's one thing to set up an MSME to setting something up like Digits Trading, which Carlos just already said it's already a big brand. So how do you operate within your
Okay.
partnership?
It's a very funny story because um, Synagie was actually formed because of Lazada.
Ah, there you go.
So,
The beginning.
maybe to share a very brief history, the business was
Sure.
founded around 2016. Initially, we started as actually a platform. We are also an e-commerce platform before, catering FMCG, and then we opened our store in Lazada in Singapore. So it's called Beautiful Me, basically beauty products selling in the platform, and the business became so big that Lazada encouraged us to start pitching to brands to manage their stores online. So that's the birth of our B2B2C business. And to be honest, it's really a journey from there, because starting from that model where we were first utilizing all the tools that we have in the platform. Of course, we had to develop also our systems and tools to be able to complement the tools in the platform. So that's through tech, processes, and to be able to start supporting brands on a multi-channel, multi-brand level. So
Mhm.
it's really providing those back-end services to help the brand sell their products in the front end.
Okay. So congratulations. And again, Lazada took the lead in telling you to push. Like
Yes,
you can do all these other things too and bring in other brands as well. Help set them
exactly.
up with us. But so how is it though to compare something big like Digits Trading and something like maybe Tala by Kyla, an MSME? It's a different setup. You were talking about models.
Correct, correct. So managing an MSME brand compared to an international or an MNC is really different, in the sense that we're talking about differences in terms of the brand narrative, differences in terms of budget, assortment, and the supply chain activities. So those are things that we need to be very careful about. Of course, Synergy, we primarily focused on the MNC, but as of 2019, we also built our support for the MSME brands, and that's something that we have to also look on a different perspective, because most of the MSME brands, the teams are small, they don't have budgets as big as the MNC brands, so we have to be very careful in hand holding them and making sure that their journey is done by phase. So it's really a slow build up towards digital growth and digital literacy for them, and that's something that also excites us, because these two players can really play in the platform. And the beauty of working with Lazada is that they provide all of these tools. They empower you as a seller, whether you're a small seller or an international seller, to be able to build your business the way you can, the way you should, or the way you prefer to.
Wow. Okay, you kind of answered my next question, and I can see Carlos beaming already. So let's imagine Carlos. Carlos, close your eyes. So why? Why did you choose to partner with Lazada? You kind of already said it,
Yes.
actually, Lester. But why? Because you already said, hey, we started an e-commerce platform too. But with a lot of the pushes and the encouragement from Lazada, why did you say yes? I'm going to choose to really partner with Lazada on this. And then let's get to you, Howard, because like I said, you're already a big brand. Why this one, right? So Lester first.
You mentioned earlier during your discussion with Carlos, Lazada is really indeed the pioneering e-commerce platform in the region. And that comes with now they bring in maturity in looking at the business. So it's not a matter of, okay, we bring in brands, there's a one size fits all template for everyone. That's not the case. So what
Mhm.
Lazada does is they partner depending on how they classify you as a partner. So you have your marketplace sellers and you have your last mall brands, and the way that these brands are managed are also different in a sense. Of course, there's much more corporate relationship with Lasmall. With the sellers, there's much more, I would say, grassroots training. And Lazada's back end, you'll be surprised. It's like a university. You have so many modules, so many training materials, conferences, and live stream sessions that if you are a seller that you are really serious about your growing your business online, it will be easy for you to tap into these resources. Lazada understands the nuances of the trade activities between brands and MSMEs, and they can provide each with relevant tools to further their businesses.
Wonderful. And I can already see Carlos beaming ear to ear. But let's go to Howard now. Howard, Digits Trading. And even Carlos said, wow, this is a big brand. It's an international brand already. So why did you choose Lazada?
Well, when when we finally decided to go online, right? We were basically late to the party, so we wanted to go online fast, really fast, big and fast. So we shopped around marketplaces, online services, and when we were introduced to Lazada, they showed us the seller center. It was really easy when we assessed it. It was really easy to use, easy to start, and with the other tools like Lazada University, their training tools, it helped us to really go online in just a few days. So yeah, for us it was a no brainer to join Lazada, especially with Lazada having like millions of users already, and with their support with logistics and warehousing, it was really a no-brainer for us.
Wow. Carlos, I want to touch on what Howard just said. I'm sure there's still a lot who are late to the party, but I don't think there's no such thing as late, especially when you know e-commerce is the way to go. Carlos, could you touch on that statement? Late to the party? What do you think?
So it is always hard to tell, right? The reality is that it's very early. When you look at the objective metrics, it is super early. I mean, China has 55% e-commerce penetration. That is just unbelievable, right? That there are certain categories in China where 2 out of every $3 are spent online, right? Um, US or Europe, even some peers like Japan and Korea have 30-40% e-commerce penetration for many categories. So I feel it's still very early. Now, that said, what it's true is that every year that you are not online becomes harder because first, there are a lot of digital native e-commerce customers that don't recognize your brand, right? They have seen it maybe offline, they understand, but they're not so used to it. Second, you need to develop your own capabilities, right? It's very important for you to build your team, to understand how to operate online. And as the industry matures, there's a lot of evolution around the tools, around the ways of working. That's based on the previous layer, right? So it gets slightly more complicated every year. So I think we are all early, right? And I think everyone's still going to be very successful. But there's definitely some pressure. And we've seen that, especially during the pandemic, with some of the largest brands in the world allocating a significantly higher percent of their marketing, of their teams, of their resources towards online because they see it as a growth opportunity and they want to drive that, right?
There. And I'm sure it's delivered. This growth opportunity is actually delivered in the numbers, in the actual products being sold, and all that. Because that's another thing you offer, Carlos. Lazada has the analytics at the end. You
Yeah,
help your
definitely.
sellers do that. That's part of the package, which I think Lester is part of. Lester, that's also part of what you offer,
Yes,
analytics.
correct.
There you go. So
Yeah,
let's talk
definitely.
about how your partnerships then, be it as a vendor, as an ecosystem partner, how has the partnership with Lazada enable your business to scale? Who wants to take this first? Howard?
Well, okay. So, well, basically, when you look at it, we're into retail, right? Physical stores, right? So we have branches nationwide, but even with the huge amount of resources we pour into it, we basically cannot accommodate the whole country. There will be areas that we won't be present in. So I think that's where online really comes in with Lazada. Lazada gives us the opportunity to reach people that we can't normally reach.
Okay, nicely put. And that's where Lester comes in. How has Synagie, also as a business, as an ecosystem partner, scaled because of the partnership with Lazada? Lester?
Okay. Maybe I'll provide a different perspective because our business is already online. So
Mhm.
selling through the marketplaces like Lazada, um, the initial thought is, the journey is very straightforward. Go to the app, look for a product that you are, looking to buy, and then do your checkout. But now Lazada has also evolved as a platform. It's not just an e-commerce platform anymore. It's also become a social commerce platform. So you would see a lot of new tools in Lazada that furthers the engagement that you have with your customers. So basically, what I'm trying to say is that Lazada has allowed us to be more in touch with our consumers. And at the end of the day, the most important thing for sellers is their engagement with the consumers. So now we have tools in Lazada like the feed. So the feed is a portion of Lazada similar to your social media where you can scroll, and that's, us as sellers, we can post promotions, new product launches, and all other information about our store in the form of a social media feed. Then we also have what we call the CEM, Consumer Engagement Management tool. It's similar to your CRM. It's basically an instant message push that allows you to tap different segments of your consumer base. Maybe you want to target customers who've purchased before, so push them to repurchase. You want to target new customers that followed your store to incentivize them with a voucher, so that they can make their first purchase. So the whole dynamics has shifted to a much more deeper understanding of your consumer. And that, I think, is one of the beauty that we have in Lazada. Lazada also have their in-app shoppertainment where you can do your live streaming so that you can really showcase your products and your brands to your consumers. And that really helps bridge and help us go further down the marketing funnel from awareness to consideration and then pushing it to conversion. So I would say that that really is, that has helped us really further
Scale.
expand and scale
Yeah.
up the business that we have in Lazada through, just thinking of, okay, straightforward selling. Now, no, you can engage more and thus, have better returns on your investment.
Nice. Carlos, anything you'd like to add when it comes to these shifts in consumer behaviors? Because it's in your platform, it's in Lazada, right? Just as Lester said, you get to know and engage your customers even more, so address their needs even more effectively. So, what are these shifts in consumer behaviors or demands that you've observed so far? And how are you adapting your brand strategies and business operations to address what you hear from their feedback?
Well, everything is constantly evolving, right? I think what's very important to see is that retail is changing, e-commerce is changing, and especially now after pandemic, right? E-commerce will continue to grow, but a lot of things will be slightly different, right? So we always try to listen and to leverage their inputs and also drive some adjustments, right? So for example, we use a lot of their buyer insights, a lot of their trend recommendations to build strategies around trust. We've been growing a lot our Lazada warranty program, legit Salasmol. We've been building many different trust programs to make it easier to position a store on Lazada, right? We've also been working a lot on our shoppertainment strategy, coming up with new live streams, with new social sellers, optimizing many of our promotions. And something we've been doing also is evolving a lot our interface and our app. We want to make it easier to run the business. We want to make it easier for them to get their teams to quickly access. And we also want to raise the bar. So we have a Lazada University where we train everyone and explain them how to run an online business. We do have constant surveys and quarterly business reviews to gather these inputs. And anyways, we have a very close relationship where we really try to innovate and adjust based on their feedback.
And of course, I want to hear from Howard and Lester. What are the key customer needs and concerns you were able to pick up because you're in Lazada? Because you reap the benefits from that as well. Howard, like before, I'm sure it was so tiring when you'd be in a physical store, in one of your physical stores, and you know how complaint can just go on and on and on, right? So how has Lazada helped you in this area, addressing
Well,
customer needs and concerns?
yeah, I think a big part is customer engagement. Yeah, like you mentioned, it's kind of hard to accommodate everything in the physical store, right? So with the tools available at Lazada, like the customer chat, you can instantly chat up customer, offer them vouchers, offer them everything. If they have problem, they can directly get in contact with us very quick. So I think customer engagement is important, and yeah, and that was what Lazada was able to provide for us.
Nice.
And of
And how
course,
about you, Lester?
in addition to
Go
that,
ahead.
there's the other payment option that's available on Lazada.
And there will be more. Carlos says he's still exploring that. That's one of the future, which we're gonna save for later. But Lester, just to wrap this up, because I I focused on this one. I was actually going to talk about customer experiences much later, but you already brought it up, so I jumped on this opportunity to finally expound on it. How will you think you can? How do you think you'll continue to leverage Lazada's technology and logistic capabilities to again address and provide a seamless experience for your partner sellers and especially the customers? Lester?
Okay. So, to echo what, both Howard and Carlos mentioned earlier, it's really getting to know your customers. We have all the tools in the platform to engage. And right now, even when you go to a product page, looking at the ratings and the reviews, it's not just, the customers giving feedback, but also the sellers being allowed to respond. And that builds not just the engagement with your customer, but also, a community wherein the other potential customers can also chip in and share their thoughts and their feedback on the products. And I think that's what makes the whole relationship with Lazada and the customers much more dynamic in a sense. And with Lazada's growth in the past 10 years, Carlos painted an amazing picture of the journey towards the
Mhm.
challenges before and today.
So many
We're in
milestones.
so many
Yeah.
milestones, and
So many
particularly
pioneering
logistics.
efforts. Yeah.
Correct. So, versus our neighboring countries where we're a bit more landlocked compared to us. Those challenges have been continuously addressed. Particularly for logistics. Before Lazada allows sellers to fulfill in one warehouse. Now they are allowing us to fulfill in multiple warehouses so that we bring the products closer to the customers. And again, that helps address some of the issues that the customers are raising. The products come in quite later, and slowly but surely Lazada has been providing all the tools, all the infrastructure to be able to support those concerns.
Okay. Carlos, you've always said, thank you for that, Lester. You've always said this is constantly evolving, constantly changing. So, right now, after 10 years of Lazada Philippines, what are you observing to be the key industry trends that you are paying close attention to? Because what else can businesses and platforms like Lazada do to adapt to the shifts in the retail landscape, especially now that we are back out there? Some are even might argue that okay, it's okay. People are going out again. The idea before was that e-commerce is just going to be part of what I'll offer, not all in. So your thoughts on that, all three gentlemen, please. But I want to start with Carlos. So what are the key industry trends you're paying attention to, especially with the shifts in the retail landscape nowadays?
Yeah, definitely. I think that's a very good question and something that nobody has necessarily figured out. Uh, there's some macro trends, right? For example, trust versus pricing. We've been talking
Mm.
about this all the time, but as the market matures and people become a bit more discerning, they really raise the bar and they start to expect a lot more around refund, returns, quality of the items, especially for
Convenience,
products.
convenience, yeah,
Yeah.
convenience too.
Yeah. So
That's a
trust, convenience versus price. That's a clear one. Convenience is really key. So, for example, we're enabling same day delivery. We're also working. Convenience is not just about the speed, but it's also about um, how you buy and the frictionless approach, right? So, for example, today you can easily buy with your wallet or with different partners we've integrated like Gcash within 2 clicks, right? Um, it's very clear what you're buying and how, and you can automatically check out. There's no friction, right? There's also a really big trend now around shoppertainment and lifestyle, right? If you look at what's happening worldwide, because people are going out a bit more, because people are expecting more from e-commerce as well, the normal patterns that you're seeing are starting to become a bit more about lifestyle, right? People go to Lazada not just expecting to transact in a um, very simple manner, very price driven. They want to have fun, right? They want to spend time on the site. They want to check the flash sale. They want to collect their vouchers. They want to look at the best deals. They explore a lot. For example, like they like to go through the catalog of their favorite brands. They like to watch a live stream. They like social sellers as well, right? So, for example, they like some of the countdown shows, or they will go and check out and talk and chat with the seller right through our chat, they really expect more of a 360, a more engaging app, right? And I think what's also very interesting is that we are seeing a lot of direct to consumer brands, right? There are many brands that are online first. Some of them are even online only, right? So they're very fast. There's a lot of product innovation happening, very direct marketing where they're dealing directly with their customers, creating communities. Something we saw earlier in the case of Taylor by Kayla, right? People are really close emotionally to the brands and they
Mhm.
expect that type of fun, direct communication, and very frequent back and forth, right?
And there, of course, there are, of course, opportunities and for sure challenges will be along the way as you discover how to maneuver these trends and opportunities. But I see Lester and Howard nodding along. So talking about the trends that Carlos just actually spelled out for us, what do you think is going to affect your business and how you plan to address this? So maybe Howard first. Key industry trends like shoppertainment, especially how
Mm,
everything is very much attached to lifestyle. I think
yeah.
that's right up your alley,
Yeah.
Howard.
Yeah, there's two things I can think of. The first one is Carlos already touched on it, is shoppertainment. So
Hmm.
like in the physical realm, physical store, right? One of the things that can drive the customer into your store is to have like the experience, the shopping experience, right? And that's provided by setting up actual demo units that customers can try, make the don't put the items inside glass cages, touch and feel, right? So the parallel to that is the shoppertainment. So that's something that we're also looking into, because yeah, Carlos, right? It's in the climate right now. It's not enough that the product is available. The customer has to be entertained, has to be interested to look at your store, basically. The second one is something old but still relevant right now, is financing. So we think
Mm,
the more financing options available online would be beneficial, especially to a country like the Philippines.
yes.
Financing options like a 0% interest, other payment options like over the counter, other loaning, the other loaning interest installment payment that's not tied to a credit card. Yeah, I think those are the things that I think we're looking into.
Nice. Thank you for sharing that, Howard. Lester, how about you? Please pipe in. When it comes to key industry trends, what are your concerns on these? Or what are you eyeing to be something you want to jump on because you see growth, really good potential growth, if you're going to jump on that bandwagon? Lester?
Okay. Actually, they mentioned what I would say are the critical trends that we really need to watch out for. But really looping this in the whole consumer journey. So Carlos was mentioning about shoppertainment, which again is on its core is really on engaging your customers. So customers today are smarter than ever. So they are more involved and they tend to demand more information from brands and sellers. So the consumers of today, they gravitate toward brands where they can relate to, both in brand narrative or the brand values as well. And that's where I think your shoppertainment comes in. Like what I mentioned earlier, all the tools that you have in the platform is to help you um, engage with your customers in a deeper level. And then relating that to the digital payments, how do you make it easier? Because at the end of the day, what we want as sellers to the platform is to make the consumer journey, the purchase journey for our customers a lot easier in terms of decision making, consideration in price points, consideration in brand. And how can we further that with our push to conversion? And that would be answered by the digital wallets. So, looking at our neighboring markets in Southeast Asia, there's been, a trend. Maybe I'll do a focus on Vietnam. Vietnam has, replicated what has happened in China, where they skipped the whole credit card phase and went directly into the digital wallet phase. And that's how I think can also help bridge the reluctance of Filipinos, building the trust, as you mentioned earlier, into entrusting their hard-earned money into the digital space. And I think once they are able to hit that, we'll be able to see further growth in the space. Now, maybe furthering on the concept of shoppertainment and digital wallets. I am personally looking at artificial intelligence. In e-commerce and any digital platform that we have right now, we have such big access to data. And how do we, pivot that data to the growth of e-commerce related industries? So, we have an array of solutions in that can provide outstanding change towards what we do today and how we look at the business today. We're talking about curated content, which is again related to our obsession with the customer. Intelligent performance marketing, maybe algorithm based product and assortment trends, again related to the customer, and all of these tools that can help us look at the business in a much more smarter and systematic manner.
Let's go back to the beginning. When I first had Carlos with me, it started with a vision. That vision that a lot of people were like, "Huh? How does it go?" Right? Now 10 years later, what's ahead? What can we look forward to? And especially with this mindset that e-commerce is, an addition, an added something versus this is the way to go. So I'd like to begin first with Howard. Your vision ahead when it comes to e-commerce for your brand and for for the industry, really.
Uh, well, first, I don't agree that some people are saying that online is just like a phase. It only became
Not
popular
anymore,
because
no?
of COVID. No, no, no. Online is here to stay. And on on the opposite side, I don't think physical stores will die anytime soon. So I think it's more of how to leverage both, leverage our physical stores and leverage our online presence, how to make it more impactful to our customers. So what we see there is a synergy, like again, customer engagement using both platforms effectively. So I think there's a way where we can like work with Lazada to our physical stores can bring in customers to our online stores and vice versa, something like that. So
Mhm.
we're looking at customer engagement, putting more using Lazada not only as a store but also as a marketing tool. So
Yes.
yeah,
I wonder if this is correct. A symbiotic relationship,
yes, exactly,
right?
exactly. Yeah,
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 symbiotic relationship.
yeah.
Lester, how about you? Again, your vision for the road ahead, especially when it comes to e-commerce with Lazada.
Okay. I have to echo what Howard is saying, because right now we see e-commerce as a supplement, as a support to the regular trade that
Existing.
we do
Yeah.
in the industry. And now we're seeing a shift. But I think the question is, how do we create a seamless ecosystem, online and offline, to be able to guide the customers with their journey? Because at the end of the day, as brands and sellers, we're looking at servicing the customers on the different facets of the consumer journey, whether that be online or offline, and how to see we can marry both of these concepts into one. And I really believe that Lazada is instrumental to this, because like what I mentioned earlier, with the richness of data that we get from the platform, we already understand the consumers, and it's up to us how to build the relationship online and offline.
Exactly. Pioneering the way, right? So speaking of
Yeah.
pioneering the way, Carlos, please, your thoughts on the vision for the next not just 10 years, but really beyond.
Yeah, I think there are a couple of very, very important things. And I want to start by sharing my personal view and our view at Lazada, which is that e-commerce will continue to be a necessity moving forward, right? But how will this happen? First, I believe that e-commerce will be social, and we need to closely integrate with social media, with our communities, with our buyers end to end, right? There's a big focus around integrated marketing, making sure that the experience is very smooth across different mechanics, right? And that people can find whatever they want, no matter whether it is a good discount with a flash sale or the best, most unique item through search, right? Second, consumers have seen the convenience and the ease of e-commerce platforms. So we believe that this will be a key part of how Filipinos behave. And society will just continue to embrace this, right? We have seen how thousands of businesses and brands have thrived thanks to e-commerce. So we also count on them to support us, right? And we believe that together with our logistics improvements, our payments improvements, and some of the artificial intelligence and more virtual reality adjustments to amplify these areas, people will continue to invest more into e-commerce. They will continue to purchase more often into e-commerce, and they will just make the core of their purchases for certain categories entirely through e-commerce, right?
Wonderfully said. Thank you so, so much. I think there's so many more things, but we could leave that to the Lazada University. I'd love to have more opportunities to chat with you, gentlemen. But for now, I think we have a very meaty discussion. And let's allow our viewers, our audience members watching us to actually absorb everything that we just talked about. Especially if you happen to be an entrepreneur, this is the way to go. E-commerce is here to stay, and Lazada has a lot to offer you. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have here with us, we have to thank Lester Cuneta of Synagie, Howard Pao of Digits Trading, and of course, Carlos Barrera of Lazada Philippines. That's it for today. Thank you to everybody who joined us for the second episode of Lazada Talks. And if you would like to listen to this discussion again in only audio form, Rappler will be sharing this through our podcast channels, which you can watch out soon on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. So check that out, okay? So if you want to listen to the discussion in audio form, check out the podcast channels happening soon in Spotify and Apple Podcasts. This has been Lazada Talks, Episode 2, Emerging Opportunities for E-Commerce. I'm Isa Litton. Thanks, everybody, for watching.